Hi, I'm Beck and I'm a property investor.
And I'm Daria. I own my own home and I'm curious about investing.
We're the hosts of Investors in the Wild.
We've heard it all before. Build your wealth, get expert advice, learn about high yield, high growth investments, blah, blah, blah.
That's just not us. We're real mates with real talk about real estate. No ego, no financial advice.
It's all about wins you can use right now.
Let's get into it. We're back for the second episode of Steve Says. People loved hearing what Steve said. I spent my whole life not listening to Dad, and now that I'm an adult, it actually comes in handy. So thanks for your feedback. As requested during this episode, I'm going to have his voice sprinkled through, and I'll be showing photos and videos through this as well. I know most listeners don't watch video, but switch on the video when there's a bit that you actually want to see. Last weekend, 3 places again, 2 in Campsie, 1 in Daceyville, a suburb that I hadn't heard of until Saturday. I'm going to go through the first 2 properties really quickly. I'm having an existential crisis on the 3rd property, and so I want to get to that one and hear what other people have to think. So, first place, here it is. Things that we loved about this place. 10 minutes walk to Campsie Station, which is where the new metro is. 20 minutes walk to Canterbury Station. The house was huge, 2 living areas, giant rooms, nice kitchen, really great skylight. The living areas just had a lot of light there. Big bathroom, both front and backyard below maintenance. And the property was pretty flat, which, if you remember back to Rebecca's first podcast episode, not me, the guest Rebecca, she spoke a lot about how as the population ages, there'll be more demand for properties that are flat because that's easier for older people to navigate. And so it's something that's been on my mind. And this place, huge and flat. Things we didn't like, their asking price was $2 million, just felt like a lot. The bathroom was right next to the kitchen, which is just something that's a little bit like, You had 5 bedrooms for 1 bathroom, also a bit, And the thing that we didn't like the most was in the backyard, you had 2 apartment blocks on either side that could look into the backyard, so you didn't really have a lot of privacy. Another thing we liked is things were in good nick, but could also be updated to be more modern. However, when we looked around the area, there weren't a heap of modern places that were commanding higher prices, and so there really wasn't a lot of benefit in updating it. How many stars would you give this one?
Say 4-star. I can't give it 5 because I don't like the units looking over at the back.
Everything was in good nick.
And it's close to the station. No maintenance, there's no lawn.
Yeah.
Nothing. There's potentials there, but if you're going to pay $2 million, like, fuck, I don't think it's worth $2 million.
Let's go to the next one.
What's the next one? What's Bible?
Second place, also in Campsie. I'm going to fly through this one. It was a very stereotypical, it's got everything wrong with it, and I really want to save time for the 3rd property. So to fly through this property, I've divided Steve's observations into things that I thought were somewhat obvious and observations that I just never would have thought of. In terms of things that were obvious, water leaks throughout the roof, pretty much in every room, especially along the outline of every room. The house smelt like mold. The carpet needed to be removed. There were bouncy floorboards in one room. You needed a new bathroom, and because of the floor plan, you couldn't easily extend out the bathroom. It'd always be small and boxy. The rooms were also very small and boxy, 2.7 by 3.1, 2.6 by 3.7, very small. You've got to be careful, it's not heritage. Needs a new kitchen. The garden's unruly and overgrown. There's no garage. The place where you park your car, it's very narrow. You need a small car, and you end up parking right next to the neighbor's bathroom. And there was also a shed at the back that was pretty much washed out. You needed to remove the whole thing. Essentially, the land was on a slope. There was no drainage, and so whenever it rained, all of the water would just go into that back shed area. The things that I wouldn't have thought of, but of course Steve was all over it. As we were approaching, he observed that the house was on like a curve in the road. And when I asked why that's a problem, he said, well, you've got a long road in either direction. People are going to be speeding up and then braking as they, go around that curve. And you'd be able to hear it because it's right in front of the house. The second thing that I would have never thought about.
Wait, what are you saying? The downpipe?
Because the gutters are small, that's why water going in the house.
How do you know those gutters are small?
Compared to other houses,
Right.
if you have a look at the normal gutters, what are they like compared to these?
Okay, so these gutters aren't handling.
You have to remove all these gutters, put new gutters in, and downpour. The water can't get through this downpour. If you get a downpour, where's the water going to go to? Flowing. Or the gutters inside, the water will go inside to the place.
The gutters are small, and that's why the water is going into the house, especially along the outlines of the bedrooms. And the final thing that Steve was all over was these banana trees. Banana trees are the devil. They ruined a retaining wall that I had in a property once, and it cost tens of thousands of dollars to replace it. So to have banana trees right next to a house, you're inviting catastrophic damage on the house.
The only way you can do is just to extend things further back. But you've got to rip the extension. Needs new kitchen. Needs new bathroom. Look, you've got to rip the whole freaking place up. Then you've got 1.7, 1.8 mil you're going to pay for it. You're not going to get much of a return. There's no return. I wouldn't even rate this.
You wouldn't give this any star ratings? Wait, so are you going to give this one a rating or not?
One for location.
In a world first, Steve's verdict was he wouldn't even rate the place. And then he said, actually, I would give it 1 star for location. Now, fun fact, which actually isn't that fun, the place was being advertised for 1.4 million. It needed at least 300 grand worth of work. So guiding 1.4 needs at least 300 grand worth of work. 2 days after the eviction, the house sells for 1.6 million. A family bought it, obviously not an investor, because as Steve says, there's really no return. If you're going to end up paying $2 million for a house, you might as well be buying the first place we inspected, which had huge bedrooms, 2 living areas, a huge bathroom. This really wasn't a very smart investing move. But like I said, it was bought by a family. They probably didn't know this episode was going to come out. No, but seriously, I can't help but think they would have been better off spending the $2 million on the house that was perfectly livable and huge just down the road. Okay, so the final place and the most divisive, Daceyville. I'm not going to show you the address because I'm worried someone's going to buy the place. Stay away. What I love about this place, low maintenance front and backyard, a fantastic yield. So the place is guiding at 1.9 mil.
The rent is $1,800 a week at the moment.
And bringing in $1,800 a week rent. Crazy. The main house is beautiful, and then it's got 2 self-contained studios attached to the house, which is why the rent is so good. Last but not least, the location is fantastic. It's 7 minutes walk to the light rail, across the road from shops, 10 minutes drive to Coogee Beach. It's amazing. In terms of things that we didn't like, I'll list the things that Dad pointed out that I think we all agree with, and then I would love your thoughts on would you be okay with buying a place with these qualities. So first, things that I think we all agree with. Bathroom number 1 and bathroom number 2, neither of them had windows for air to get out. There were 2 rooms vacant at the time. Both of them had been freshly painted. One of them very clearly had mold on the ceiling. And then our favorite new thing to talk about, gutters. We know what Steve says about gutters. And in this example, we've got water going straight into the side of the house. All right, so first thing that was a little bit weird, tell me if I'm overthinking this. Number 1, hear this sound? There was, I don't even know what the collective term is, a gaggle of bin chickens that were all hanging out in the tree next door. I think that sound is the bin chickens mating. Steve didn't think this was a big deal, but also I really didn't want to talk about this with him. Next, look at this. This is one at a time?
No, you can.
So the planes were pretty low. And so I'd love to know, would this dissuade you from buying an investment? The next thing that I didn't feel right about, and Dad definitely didn't feel right about, all of the windows and vents going in and out of the house were permanently closed. It created a lot of moisture and mold. Yeah, that's a window that opens to plasterboard. Go figure. Replacing windows is expensive, But Dad was saying you need air circulating through the house. We know what Steve says about ventilation. And now listen to this.
The rent is $1,800 a week at the moment.
So then, of course, I asked to see the rental ledgers and the leases to validate that $1,800 is coming in every week. This is what I get. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but this adds up to $1,000 a week. When I challenged it, I was told, yep, 2 more are moving into the empty rooms in 2 weeks' time. And I said, great, show me their lease. And by the way, that would mean that both of those tenants would be paying more money to lease a room than what the people in the studios are paying to have a self-contained studio. Doesn't quite sound right. You're going to hate me for this, but I forgot to ask for Steve's star rating. I know I had one job, but I was really confused coming out of this property and I just completely forgot to ask for his star rating. The other thing is the area is 70% public housing. I can't help but think it can't stay as public housing forever. It has to be at one point bought over by developers and they'll add affordable housing options, but you can't be that close to the city, to the beach, to the light rail, to the shops. And with the strong drive to add more housing, I think it's only a matter of time before that area no longer has such a high concentration of public housing. I'm thinking about this place a lot. I'm going and inspecting it again on Saturday. I'd love to hear, would you buy an investment with bin chickens meeting next door under a flight path? God, I sound ridiculous listing these out. The windows currently don't open. And last but not least, the rent is unproven. It's so close to public transport and the beaches and the city. All right, tell me what you think. We'll be back for another episode of Steve Says next week. Give me feedback and we'll keep making this better and better. Hello, it's Beck. If you thought this episode was valuable, please help others to find it by finding us on Spotify, dropping a rating or review, or just sharing it with a friend who would find these stories relatable and insightful. And if you're an investor with insights to share, hit us up on Instagram at investorsinthewild or email investorsinthewild@gmail.com. After all, we're all mates helping each other. And if you're a hopeful investor, we would love to hear from you. Reach out with feedback, questions, or topic ideas. It would be great to hear what you want to see behind the investing curtain. Talk soon.